Hello, everyone, and welcome to another live stream. And I can't help but do my normal intro even when I'm doing live streams. I hope everyone's doing okay. Don't know if it's going to be a quiet one, a busy one, or whatever, but it's going to be a chill one. I don't even have any notes prepared for this live stream. I'm just going to go wing it, and talk about what's been going on, some topics of interest, and just generally see how things go. Hello, Pego Natural Food. Welcome. Hello, Shadow. It's nice to see you as always. I hope you're having a pleasant weekend so far, wherever you are in the world. Hello, Mr. Teeny. Welcome as well. It's always lovely to see you. Today, I'm going to be talking a bit about what's been going on as usual, and we'll have the usual topical. Hello, Nia, as well. Welcome. Oh, we're talking about some of the usual topical stuff and alluding to some things that are going on. So, me and Sophie attended a conference recently, which we both learned some very interesting things about. Some things that we're actually going to use to adapt our approach. Like, thank you, Shadow. That was very quick. I set another goal as a bit of a joke, and then Shadow's like, "I'm gonna just do it anyway." Thank you, very much appreciated.
Very naughty.
Very naughty. So yeah, we went to a conference, and it was actually very enlightening. Some bits were a little bit less useful than others, but many aspects of it.
Elaborate.
I will elaborate later. I'm just introducing everything. Hello, Klaus. Welcome. Hope you're doing as well. So I'm going to talk about what's been going on. Talk a bit more about this conference. Not everything, because some of it's going to be a bit like, well, what the heck are you talking about? I'll basically pick a couple of things that I think are useful for real world examples and practical things for the average parrot owner, basically. Talk a bit about bathing. Now it's coming up to summer. And this stuff that's cropped up recently, which I felt was worth discussing, tying the training information into basically the conference stuff, and then talk about diet again, because diet's always a topic that crops up all the time. I see, not as naughty. Well, that's fine. Doesn't have to be mega naughty.
Doesn't have to be anything at all, does it?
Doesn't have to be anything at all, exactly. So yeah, we'll just go through the topics and see. Thanks, things. If there, Sophie said I should dab if we reach the goal target or whatever that is. So I'll do that, and we'll do a little giveaway. And if that happens as well, what's been going on? So what's been going on? Yeah, we did this conference. Our washing machine broke down, which was really, really annoying. The timing couldn't be worse because we just paid for our what's it called? The IATA seminar, whatever it's called, later in the year.
The symposium.
We're
both presenting at.
Yeah, we're both presenting at that, so we had to sort all that out, and then this training thing was just in. It was like, oh my goodness, why couldn't you just wait a little bit longer?
And our dishwasher only just broke, and it's like, is there anything else?
We've replaced it now. I got the cheapest thing possible. I got like this thing with a code and just plumbed it in. It's like, whatever. At least it seems to work, which is always nice. So that's what's been going on. And if you're on Patreon, you probably know what's been happening with the boys. No spoilers, but generally, just for the rest of you guys, there will be a video coming up on that very soon. And the boys are all getting on very well. That will probably give you a bit of a hint. They're getting on very well, and we've seen lots of sort of progress with regards to bonding. It's not 100% with Toot and Coal and Fish. They still have their little scraps and the like, but it's not escalated ever to the point where we've been concerned. And that's kind of cool that we haven't had to deal with that, because we had to deal with other birds. And it's just nice to see them get on, and that the bonding work that we just had dinner as well. Well, the bonding work we sort of tell you guys to do applies to our own birds, and it's nice to see in practice with our own flock, and work through it. It's just nice to do, basically. I'll get Pickles and Scampi out, and there'll be a Q&A, although given the amount of actual people in the live at the moment, I doubt there's going to be that many questions. So we'll just see how long we go on for, and just see how we get on with. So where should we start? Should we talk about diet stuff first? Because I think that's the least interesting out of my 3 topics, just in case more people turn up and they're going to be like, oh, what have I missed? So it's something we've noticed, and it's anecdotal, by the way. So this isn't something we've confirmed, but something we're noticing a lot more and more through our conferences, through the numerous people we talk to. So we talk to an awful lot of bird people who work in zoos, who are private pet owners, who work themselves with other parrot owners. And we're noticing a trend, and I can't name the sources of these trends, and I also can't specifically say what exact food is causing it, but we're noticing a big trend in increased hormonal behaviour, and even in some cases aggression with a certain type of food. And it's becoming, when we first noticed it, we were just like, okay, this is a bit interesting. There's probably other factors in the diet, but we're noticing it more and more, and it's starting to become less of a maybe, and this needs some investigation. I'm sorry, it's quite vague, but it's something I've wanted to mention because it's very interesting. It's so important what you put down your parrot's beak. Just like it's very important what we eat, it's incredibly important what your parrot eats. And if you are noticing correlations between certain foods and certain patterns of behavior, and that's taking the whole thing into account, you can't just be like, oh, well, it's just that. And you hear other people saying similar things, and you're like, oh, what are they eating? It might be worth considering like reducing that food or swapping out. And this is a general thing; it could apply to any sort of food. It might be worth just looking at alternatives to diet and maybe supplementing that diet with other things, because honestly, when you see these sort of patterns over and over again, you just think, Sophie's got grinning at me in the background.
I'm gonna say it's down to man-made foods and too much of it, and mainly a particular type. But essentially, it's so bizarre to us when you see so many people promoting man-made formulated foods of like 80% or so for the diet, and yet we see an awful lot of correlation between that being a problem, and it's just like we're banging our heads against the wall.
Yeah, we discussed it quite a lot, just me and Sophie, and like we were trying to find an analogy of this sort of food for the human world, and the closest we can think of is a microwave meal, like a ready meal. Hello, Carol, welcome. It's a microwave ready meal. You know, not necessarily completely unhealthy, but it's pre-prepared. It's not the best, and it's convenient. We didn't want to liken it to really fast food because that would probably be going too far. But it does remind us of a microwave meal. And if you ate nothing but microwave meals, that would have an impact on your health and impact on your behaviour as well, because of the high sugar preservative content. And that's why it baffles me and Sophie when we have the discussion with people and they're so resistant. I know some people aren't as clued in on it, and some people just basically they just hear the word vet or vet recommended and they're like, right, done, that's all I need to know. And there's no more questioning beyond that. But when you start to see aberrant behaviours, you can sort of start attributing it to other things rather than just the food, basically. And that's what I find very interesting as a topic, don't you?
I do. And what we always come back to is there's nothing easy about living with parrots, and there's no easy, simple way of feeding them. There's no easy, simple way of training them. Like, nothing is simple and easy. And if somebody or a product or anything like that is trying to claim that, you know, this is the be all and end all, wave that red flag.
Yeah, get a red flag waving around and sort of start questioning. And even with this sort of stuff, we always propose to people, well, you don't have to cut it out entirely, just reduce the amount, just make it a part of the diet. And then, just like with a human diet, we eat microwave meals sometimes, they don't do us any harm, as part of a more broad and wholesome diet. And that's the bit that always confuses us. And that's where money always comes into it. You know, certain people will always push certain products to make more money, and we find it difficult to do that sometimes because we have like our own moral obligations, even for our own products. During consultations, we'll obviously mention our own products if they're relevant, and then I find myself saying, "Oh, you don't have to buy it. You can just use Tulsi on your own. You don't have to buy it. It's up to you. It's there if you want it, or you can just buy chamomile or Tulsi." And I think that's probably really bad from a business perspective, but we can't help ourselves because we're in it for. We obviously want to like live from this and be able to do something with it, but we're also in it for a more moral side. We want to change the world, so to speak, and make a bit of a difference in the way parrots are looked after in the home environment. But yeah, that's enough of that topic. So I just found it interesting that we're seeing this correlation over and over again, and that people aren't putting two and two together net like they have in the human food world. But then even in that, people are still eating absolute rubbish, aren't they? So right, and moving on to the next topic, and that is bathing. Two parts to this topic. Now we're coming to the warmer, hotter months. It is worth offering your bird more opportunity to bathe. It is worth offering your bird cooling solutions, because while a lot of them are naturally adapted for warmer weather, biologically and genetically, they haven't been raised in that environment, unless you're obviously in Australia or somewhere really, really warm like Florida. So they may be genetically predisposed to being okay with that heat, but it's still going to impact them, especially if they've never really experienced it, or they don't experience it on a regular basis. So it's well worth offering your bird baths in a sensible and happy way. There are other cooling solutions as well. Don't forget, you've got, I don't know if there's going to be only 12 people in the thing. It doesn't really matter. There are other cooling solutions you can offer, like ice in the water. Me and Sophie have both done sort of keeping your bird cool in summer videos. But bathing is one of the best, and it's obviously very good for their feather health and maintaining their feathers, and also just their general comfort, especially their molting or if there's any bronzing. It's all very nice to do and very pleasant for them. So that's the first part. The second part is, I feel like it needs to be done responsibly, and this is going to tie into something I'll talk about later, and something I'm going to talk about in depth in the future. And it's something that me and Sophie have kind of instinctively done in the past, but really have had highlighted to us in this conference recently about what's really important. And that is, if you're training your bird to bathe, or you are doing anything with your bird regarding bathing or any other training, you want to do it productively, and you want to do it to set yourself up for the most chance of success. There's been a couple of examples where people have this idea of how birds should bathe, like you should bathe in this particular manner, you should bathe in this particular spot, and that's the way it's going to be. That's not setting yourself up for success. You want to have your bird bathe where they're going to be successful, where they want to, because it's their bath. It's like someone saying to me, right, you can't have your shower in your shower. I want to get the hose out and you're going to do it on the lawn today, and there's no choice in the matter. It doesn't really work that way. I'm obviously going to say no, and I'm obviously going to gravitate towards my shower. So it's worth just looking at what your birds are comfortable with, what desensitization is working for them. For example, do they like a plate? Do they like a bowl? Do they like the bowl in their enclosure? Looking at what they actually like and then going from there, rather than sort of saying, right, you're going to bathe in this particular way, and if you don't like it, you can just go away. It doesn't work that way. And you will always worth just very carefully observing what your bird is more comfortable around and doing that descent work around there. If you want more information on this sort of bathing stuff, Sophie's got a great video on her channel, how to bathe your bird.
I've got
two videos on it. Now I've got a shorter one as well, I believe. And Sophie's just talks about it doing it. And I think we may even have to do more in the future, about more hope you're pop okay. Yeah, thank you. Hello, Sherry. I hope you're doing well as well. More content about it. Yeah, I thought it was both. I hope there's been more content about it. So Klaus says, my birds used to like bathing, but now they only wash their feet and beak and try to avoid the rest, diving into it. That's not uncommon. And it could be a depth thing. Maybe they like it a bit shallower. Maybe it's the sound. Is it a sound thing? Because I noticed a lot of birds are responsive to sounds with bathing responses. For example, running water, trickling water, even just like dripping the water off your fingers and letting it dip. That's been a big thing. And if you've got smaller birds, obviously you've got the options of microgreen bathing or wet lettuce bathing, as we call it, where you just got a piece of wet green threaded through the bar. Some birds love to bathe like that. It's about exploring those your options, which Sophie discusses in her videos. The cockatiels, for example, are very hit or miss with bathing. Sometimes they want to bath. Other times they're just like, no. Although we do quite try and encourage them during hotter weather, like going full circle, because it's good for them and also it helps to cool them down. Teuton's a bit of a monster. He just loves flying around, and like a little toddler, he doesn't know when to stop. So he just flies and flies and flies around, and he will just keep going, and it's like he needs to cool down. So you can give him a little plate with a little bit of cool water to pitter patter in.
Should we talk about how each bird likes to bathe in her flock?
We can talk about it. I think that's an interesting way of doing it. So Pickles loves to bathe in a water bowl. That's her favourite thing.
Especially if it's got apple cider vinegar.
Yeah. She loves, for some reason, she loves bathing in a water bowl after it's been refilled with a supplement. So we'll put a supplement in there for them to drink, and she's like, "No, I'm going to bathe in that. It's lovely tea." Yeah. Scampy likes her sink. She will go into the little sort of play sink with the running water. She loves to splish splash in that and enjoy it. The boys, they have to be sprayed. They don't really like anything else. They'll sometimes go in a small dish of cool water for their feet only. That's about it. Char and Olive, they like to go in the sink, don't they?
They do, but Olive likes to tap off of the sink.
Yes, it has to be different for both of them.
Charlie likes to tap on, and then Kipling likes the sink and Louie's roasting dish, and Louie likes her roasting dish with the finest trickle from the main tap. So they have their own little,
they have their little quirks. We don't roast Louie in the dish, by the way. The roasting dish is just Louie's bath. Louie likes the roasting dish. Yeah, there's no roasting going on, just nice bathing. So yeah, they enjoy that. So Nia Sprout wanted 2 baths this morning. It was warm today. We thought Scampy would, but Scampy was like, whatever, I don't really care about bath today. Although what's it called? Pickles was very keen. I don't know why, she was very keen for a bath. Same as Pudding, cool Sherry. So Pago, natural food. How often do you take your birds outside for sunbathing? So we try to take them out in a travel carrier as much as possible, really. We don't always do it, but we do try to get them out so they can get their vitamin D. Otherwise, we sometimes place the cages near open windows. Obviously, the cage is shut just to make sure they get their stuff there. We also dietarily supplement their food intake as well, like with what's it called? Mealworms and calcivet, and also foods which are a bit higher in that sort of stuff. Honestly, Pago, we'd love to do it more, but we live in a flat, so we have to sort of just take them out and get them as much sun as we can. If we had a garden, they'll be out there continuously because we have outside aviaries for them to enjoy.
Yeah, we also do a lot of choice. Like, we'll offer them a carrier, and if they're like, no, I don't want to go in the carrier, then it's like, okay, well, we're not going outside then. We don't want to force them. So if they're up for going in, then great, we'll go outside. And if they don't want to, they don't want to. But it's been too hot, like recently. It's been really, really hot. So that wouldn't be a time we'd take them out.
Shadow says Fern will only bath if it's really cold water, but it has to be smooth water. Kai loves it warmer in a shower fountain. It's a bit like ours, you know. Some like it warm. Scampi, I think, likes it a bit warmer, whereas Pickles likes it cold. She doesn't like it warm at all. Which I suppose is why she always goes it in her dish, because we always put the freshest, coolest water. It's quite funny with Pickles as well, now that Shadow's mentioned that. When it comes to drinking water out of the cage, so they'll be out for quite an extended period, you know, having their asses playing with us. And inevitably they're going to get a bit thirsty. So Scampi will normally fly up to me and start like licking me or something to tell me she wants a drink, which is quite cute. So I'll take her over. But Pickles will not drink unless it's fresh water. So what I mean by that is we'll have to go and especially change her water bowl for fresher water so she'll have a drink. Otherwise she won't drink it outside. She'll drink it in the cage, but it has to be the coolest, freshest, crispest water for Pickles when she's out of the cage. She is funny like that. And it's a thing. She's always like that. It's very cute to see.
She looks at it in disgust, and she like, no, go and replace it.
Or apart from juice, obviously, they'll just whatever temperature the juice will be drunk. I don't know if I'm going to have any left them today. I'll probably be through it by the time they get to come out, which is quite interesting. See, that's why I want to talk about bathing. Just think about setting yourself up for success. You know, a lot of you guys in the chat are really talking about your bird's quirks and what they like. So think about what would be most successful, and then do your descent work. Go through the usual process of desensitization and getting them used to it, because not every bird's going to want to bathe immediately. It does take a bit of time. It does take a bit of patience, especially with birds like cockatiels or budgies as well. Notice, because they're powdery down, so they have their natural sort of feather maintenance mechanism. And while they will bathe sometimes in the wild and with us, they're not really as keen on it. Whereas a conure, I don't think I've observed much wild conure bathing from photos, but I'm quite sure they would actually seek out and do it that way, because they don't have the same feather maintenance regime as the powdery down birds. So
there's also evidence to suggest that constant access to running water or high humidity and stuff like that can trigger hormonal behaviour in cockatiels and budgies, because
it's abundance, isn't it?
Yeah, when that happens in the wild, it's kind of like, okay, now it's less arid, we can
breed. Yeah, that's an interesting one, and I think it's a bit of a difficult one to notice if you're in the home environment, honestly, because you always give them access to water. The running water may be a factor in there, but then with most budgies and cockatiels, and this is a generalization, by the way, so yeah, yours may be different. They don't tend to like bathing in that way. It tends to be like pools basically, like, you know, a shallow dish or their water bowl or spraying. So I don't know, it's a difficult one to measure. It's easier to measure outside, I suppose, because, you know, you see them breeding more when there's more water available, which makes more sense. But in our own environments, it's a bit more challenging to see and notice. I think I may as well talk about my last topic, then we'll just bring Pickles and Scampi in for a little while, play around. And yeah, we'll see how things go, honestly. So my last topic is talking about the conference. I want to talk a bit about the conference. So it's an EASA, which is like a big zoo organisation, and they held a special conference at London Zoo. Me and Sophie couldn't attend in person, although I wish I had now. We attended virtually, but it was still quite a lot to do. It was basically from 9 until 5 with some breaks for 2 days in a row. So we were sat at our computers watching, taking notes and trying to absorb all this information for 2 days straight. And it was quite a tiring process, honestly, especially with all the other stuff I have to do around. But it was very valuable because it highlighted some things that we could improve on. And it also shone a spotlight on some things that were previously not talked about properly in the parrot sphere. There were a few trainers talking about some concepts, but the way they were presenting that information wasn't ideal. And it was just made it seem like it was elitist. Or I'm going to shut the door for a second. They can come.
Do you want to just go and get them? Or?
If you want to have a longer outing, I suppose, yeah, they can just come out and play. The information was being presented in such a way it wasn't very accessible, and it was kind of gatekeeping, which was very annoying, which this conference completely dispelled. Like, some of the experts there, you know, professors in behavioural science, were absolutely amazing, and the explanation, although very technical, and probably like if you're just a normal person sitting there, you'd be like, was very useful, and it's something we're going to transfer to our own sort of training repertoire, purely because we feel it's that important. You know, it's something I want to do some Patreon content on. It's something I want to do my own course on, because I'm gonna have to wait a second. The chaos has started.
Very excited.
Very excited. So it's something I want to talk about more, because I want normal people to have access to this information. I want to be able to present it to people in a way that they'll be able to understand without the technical jargon, so they can apply it to their own lives and their own birds, because it's very, very useful. It's an evolution of behavioural science. I know what you're going for.
Treat box. You've got a whole beak full of treats.
Scampy's just snacking off onto one side. She's literally got herself like 5 treats at once. You want one as well, Pickles?
I want the juice.
Posture. I'm going to force you for posturing. You don't even want that. Just smash it out. What are you doing? How am I supposed to do this? I'm talking about important stuff here, and I can't focus with you skittering around.
Where's the treat box?
It's in between my crotch at the moment, so she can't get it.
Come here.
I'm not getting treats from down there, I promise
get
you.
The juice. And then we'll have some juice over.
No, we need to wash down all those treats we just had, didn't we?
What a naughty little pudding.
We need to wash down. Oh, you can't climb into. I can barely. Oh my god. Oh, you must be really thirsty. Talk about the hot weather. You know, we'll just take advantage of this nice, cool juice that's supposed to be mine. Don't you get fruit? Could you so we can share, because someone's being very naughty.
Oh, a little stinky baby you are.
Cheeky little monsters. Let Pickles have a couple.
You're a naughty baby.
You are such a monster, aren't you? So this is your last one.
Right.
I'll put this on the floor in a second.
You're a bad scam, aren't you?
Let's transfer you over to there. Let's put this down here. Right, so the treats are in my crotch. The drink's on the floor. We can't get it anymore. There we go. It's a bit of a rhyme there for you guys. So, wow.
Did we talk about genuine choice?
No, we're going to leave myself. Basically, what I'm going to talk about is today I'm going to sort of introduce the topic in a training context, which is going to be critical reinforcers. Mostly, I want to talk about. I was going to talk about something else, but I didn't write it down because not very organised. Because there's been so much going on with all the chaos, courses, breakdowns and stuff. We just have not enough time to do everything. So, what I want to talk about really in this, with regards to training success, is looking for something called a critical reinforcer. Now, you guys are probably familiar. Yes, it is Shadow. Definitely, Life with Connie is always chaotic. Even these guys are the easiest. These guys are the best to film and work with, really. A critical reinforcer. So you guys are familiar with reinforcement. You know, when you reinforce something, you make it more likely to occur. A critical reinforcer is something that's ultra important. And why does that make? What is the difference between a critical reinforcer and Scampy's body? A critical reinforcer and a normal reinforcer. Well, this is where it gets very interesting, and there's so much more context to this, but I'm going to try and make it very easy. Say, for example, I've just got Pickles, and I really want to train her to get used to me and step up onto my hand. And I'm giving her treats. I'm offering her treats. So in that context, the treat is definitely a reinforcement. It's a positive reinforcement. So I'm giving her treats because I want her to step onto me. I want her to get used to me, and I want her to like me. However, is that a critical reinforcer in that scenario? And this is where I'm going to have to explain it a little bit more. When I'm talking about a critical reinforcer, that is what the animal most wants. So say, for example, like Pickles is nervous of me. Pickles has just come into my house. She's into my environment. I'm offering her a treat, but is that the critical reinforcer? Is there something else at play that may be more valuable to her than that? And I can tell that maybe by her body language and by doing a more in-depth assessment rather than just my normal ABC. And if you don't know what the ABC is, I've got a course on that on our Patreon website, so do check that out, or ask me a comment in the question. I'll sort of define it for you now so you can understand. I would like to ask the chat, if Pickles was nervous of me and I was offering her a treat, a high-value treat, she's currently nibbling my nail, what is the critical reinforcer in that scenario if she's nervous of me and she's showing signs of being nervous of me? The Barbara said this in the course. There's no wrong answers here. If you're willing to be brave, throw out a couple of answers in the chat for me, because I'll be interested to see what you think. So I think a lot of people get it right first time, or will be on the right track.
Yeah, so if she doesn't know David very well, she's just come home. Are treats going to be more reinforcing, or is there something actually she might want instead?
Come on, guys. This is gold. You know, this is gold. You need to educate.
Oh, you're such a bad scam.
I don't think you're going to get that there, are you? You have to go over here. I think everyone's shy in the chat. They don't know they're being shy. So
it's okay not to know as well.
It's okay not to know. I ask questions when I don't know, because I don't have any shame in that sort of thing. If I don't understand something, I kind of half blame the teacher, half blame myself, because the teacher needs to be explaining it better. And obviously, you know, maybe I'm ignorant about it, but I'll always ask because I'd rather know than not know. So I am going to illuminate the question because no one's responding. Oh, Maria F, thank you very much. To be left alone, and that is spot on. to refine what you just said a little bit more, we're talking about distance. Your bird, Pickles in this case, even though Pickles like she doesn't want distance from me. It's
Scampy.
Your bird in that scenario, the critical reinforcer is not the treat; it is distance. So, what do you think is going on in that scenario? Are you really using positive reinforcement in the best way in that thing? Is there something else you could be using that's more useful in that thing? And that's where we go around to negative reinforcement, which is distance. I could be giving Pickles what she wants and also positively reinforcing at the same time any calm behavior by giving her distance and maybe just giving her treat more distance. Maybe I could be backing away so she learns that she doesn't need to escalate her behavior to be fussy around me to get me to go away while she's learning that I'm a safe person. Maybe I could deliver that treat and go away. Again, positively reinforcing it. So this is where negative reinforcement is coming back into the training sphere in a much more productive way. And that's something me and Sophie, Scampy, you are being so naughty today.
She's such a bad scam.
She's normally so good. I think because she knows what happens when we do live. She's expecting to do giveaway. We might not be doing giveaway today. She's constantly like wrong fitting. I'm in the middle of explaining something. She's coming on and like trying to turn the live off. What on earth was I talking about? Because I was mid-flow and she just interrupted me.
So essentially, you might be trying to train with positive reinforcement.
When negative reinforcement is going to be much more useful. And that's where things are swinging around a bit. Because a lot of trainers, and this is something that me and Sophie have been arguing against for a while, will argue that negative reinforcement is really bad and that you shouldn't ever use it. And that's swinging around again in that, no, yes, positive reinforcement should be your go-to, but negative reinforcement, if done responsibly and in the right way, is incredibly powerful and incredibly useful and actually provides your animal a lot more choice, a lot more freedom to say no, and actually allows them you are such a little terror. There's nothing on there. Do you see there's nothing on there? You're not getting anything else.
And also,
honestly,
should we clarify what positive and negative reinforcement means for anyone unfamiliar?
Yeah, if anyone's unfamiliar, positive reinforcement is adding something to the environment to increase the likelihood of behaviour. For example, I give Pickles a treat to step up. Negative reinforcement is taking something away from the environment to increase the likelihood of behaviour. So I'm taking myself away to make Pickles more likely to be calm. Obviously, Pickles is the worst example of negative reinforcement because she wants nothing more than to be close to me at all times. So, but that's the basic brief definition. Pickles P. I really hope you guys found it. I sometimes worry because I find it incredibly interesting when I hear about it, but that's because obviously I'm invested in the theory of training. There's so much more to it. I don't know if you guys are finding it interesting or useful, but I just think it's a bit of an eye-opener for a lot of people who are basically just... Oh, it could be both. It could, Klaus, exactly, that could be both. The critical reinforcer is what the animal most wants because there can be multiple reinforcers at play. Positive reinforcement for a treat, that's still a reinforcer. Maybe a friend bird in the cage is a reinforcer as well. That's another thing. It's all these things that are in play in the environment. And that gives you a hint as to something I'm going to be discussing in the future with regards to analysing why your bird's doing what they are in a much more productive way. Because me and Sophie both love our ABCs, and I think they still have a really major part to play in behavior analysis. But this is kind of another level which is going to improve your analysis skills, enable you to solve more problems and also in a much more productive manner.
It's kind of like working out what the bird actually wants rather than what you think they want, because of course positive reinforcement is the preferred method. However, there may be an instance where actually negative reinforcement is more valuable to them at that moment in time, and then once you've addressed that and resolved that, then you can go transition to positive reinforcement.
Transition onto positive reinforcement. It's a light touch approach, and the problem with a lot of things in many pet trades, it's a very heavy-handed thing. Quick fix, heavy-handed, get your stuff going. It's absolutely awful. So a lot of this is light touch, and I think that's where me and Sophie, we realised we got it right before we even attended the conference. We just have learned a bit more. So let's have a look at this question I've noticed. I hope that answered your question as well, Klaus. Curiosity. I know my cockatiel Bella is 4 months old and has been emotionally stuck for about 2 months after a poorly managed weaning process. She's no known, but still cries for food and refuses most healthy options. It seems more emotional than physical. Roughly, my other cockatiel is confident eats well. Any advice in helping her follow this lead and gain independence? Well, firstly, the fact your other cockatiel is doing that is useful to you because Bella may learn from his example. If he is very confident, if she observes him doing this stuff, she may be more likely to take after his example. The other thing I wanted to say is they do wean slightly at different rates, especially if there's been issues in the past. So the two things are let her watch the other cockatiel, keep trying, and also don't completely deny her stuff. Maybe swap it onto something that's halfway house between what you're using and normal food while you continue keeping up the process. And also monitor her weight as well. It's important she doesn't get underweight when you're doing this, especially if you're trying to sort of like, I don't want to use the word coerce, just offering her other foods. So a lot of people tend to use like baby food as a intermediary, but with cockatiels, you'd have to make sure it is the vegetable-based ones rather than the fruit ones, because they're not going to be as keen. I would try leafy greens. You could even try soaked and sprouted items. Now, this is a big caveat here. Some cockatiels will be like, no way. Other cockatiels will be more likely to try them. And also, try high value stuff. I think weaning's the one time where your cockatiel can get the free for all on the high value naughty foods. Then later on, they're going to become reserved, because it is the most effective means to weaning. And I'm not a weaning expert, because me and Sophie tend to avoid that side of things, the breeding side. But yeah, use those high value foods just to get her going, and then you can transition her later. Those would be my advice. Basically, to summarize, because that was a big ramble, use the other bird to help her. Use baby food as a transition as long as it's vegetable based. Use soaking and sprouting items. Use high value foods as well, high fat, high value, like millet. Well, that's not high fat. High value foods to start the weaning process, and keep trying, keep experimenting. This is something we suggest for almost everything, and that's like keep a diary as well. So monitor her weight regularly, and also monitor what she's amenable to, and what time she's eating, and what time she may be more likely to, and what time she may be more beggy. Because it could be something that it's been accidentally trained in her behavioural patterns. Again, thanks to this conference, I can literally just ramble off a load of stuff. I just hope that was actually useful to you.
And also try bird bread, because you can bake vegetables into bird bread, and it's a bit easier to take to than other foods. So that's my advice.
Who do you think you are? Hello, Millie. Welcome. Who do you think you are? I did a video on kissing recently, by the way. You may see me kissing my birds constantly. And I explained why, and also how, and how I get away with it as well.
Scampy do.
Scampy do.
Do you want to do some behaviours?
Would you like what? I suppose you can have some treats here.
She doesn't want to do some flipping.
You want to do some flips? You can do some flips, people. You're just going to wave. I think we've accidentally trained her to spin before she flips now.
Superstitious.
It is. She thinks she has to spin now. Are you going to try it? I was curious. I'm going to keep withhold the reinforcement, because I didn't ask for that.
Nice.
You going to try and spin?
Looking at
this duration behaviour, intermittent reinforcement.
With Pickles as well, with the superstitious behaviour, when I trained her to do the high five, I accidentally reinforced her for kissing me and making the kissing noise at the same time as the high five. So every high five gets a kiss as well, which is quite funny, and I don't mind that.
Girl, that was lovely. We try and train Scampy to be more gentle with her beak. It's really useful, because she used to be terrible for telling you when she didn't want stuff. She'd actually nip. Now mostly you get a very gentle lick. What the heck are you doing? She's trying to climb in between my fingers now. It's your last treat, and you have to go. In fact, you can go to mummy with this treat. Pickles can have one as well. If she's willing to. Are you willing to wave for me or shake my hand? She's gonna kiss my finger. There we go. That's what we wanted. All sounds awesome, Millie. All sorts of goodies going on today then. Everyone needs a bit of cheer, especially this hot weather and all the stuff that's going on. Loads and loads of stuff going on at the moment. I was basically, all you've missed, Millie, is Scampy being incredibly naughty. She's probably been the worst behaved she's been out and about with me for a few weeks now. I think it's just the association, because we did all these giveaways where she's constantly pulling stuff out of the hat. She expects it to happen when she comes in here now.
And also, I am very guilty, live in action right now, of basically accidentally reinforcing her, because I don't want her to click end live stream.
Yeah, which would be quite annoying for us.
Every time she goes on the keyboard, I'm like, no. So this is your lesson here, how easy it is to do.
Oh my goodness, Mr. Teeny. So I missed to talk about reinforcement. Can you submit? No. All right, let me try and sum it up in one sentence for you. Critical reinforcers are more important than normal reinforcers. You're going to have to ask me, you're going to have to rewatch it, because I'm not going through all that again. And I'm going to be, this is stuff that you have to talk about and give actual examples in depth, honestly.
You'll find it very interesting.
Hopefully you'll like. Basically, this was just for you, honestly. Just for you. I'm not only joking, it was for everyone. But that sort of stuff is basically right up your street when it comes to trading theory, because it is more advanced and it's much more interesting.
There's a theory of our word to describe things, and it's called superimposition. It's where you assume that the bird finds positive reinforcement as the most
Well
valuable
done.
reinforcement,
Good
when
girl.
actually the contingency might be that actually negative reinforcement is more important at that moment in time. Until you resolve that, your positive reinforcement is always going to be held back.
Excuse me.
Because it's not the most important. We'll do some video. We're going to do loads and loads of content on all this stuff. We've got loads of ideas.
we learned a lot of interesting stuff. Because like me and Sophie, I think I've said this before, we're always trying to up our training game. We want to be ahead of the scientific curve, and we want to be doing the best we can for ourselves and for other people. And for a long time, I felt a bit stagnant, and this gave me a bit of like, oh wow, this is actually very interesting. This is something I can do. Yes, that is the most important thing, but that's not really a useful sentence in context. Yeah, that basically is what we're going to be talking about in more depth and showing examples of in our material, because nonlinear analysis is a great buzzword and a lot of trainers are throwing out there, but some really aren't explaining it or really understanding what it actually entails or the consequences of it, which is why we talked about negative reinforcement, because I'm seeing it a lot. And it's quite funny because people are talking about, no, can't do negative reinforcement, but then they're talking about nonlinear analysis and it's like, yeah, there's a lot of negative reinforcement going on all the time. And that's one of the things I liked about Susan Friedman when I studied with her, is where she talked about, like, as a trainer, you have what you want to do, what you want to achieve. You want to use positive reinforcement, but you are accidentally going to punish. You're accidentally going to use negative reinforcement, other things. It's about being aware of it, being mindful of it and correcting it, or using it in the responsible, most appropriate situation. I don't like trainers who say, I only use positive reinforcement and anyone who uses anything else is bad. It's just another absolute, which doesn't really work very well.
It's not real well. She wants a close-up.
You want a close-up? You're grooming my nails. Thank you very much.
She wants to give everyone a kiss. She's going to give everyone a kiss. Oh, big kisses from Big Pickles.
What a big girl. You want to climb up?
Do you want to do it as well? Scampy's turn now.
You get to see Pickles' like lovely fluff, orangey peach fluff.
Only Pete's.
Such a pretty little creature, aren't you?
Scam! It is Scam! Isn't she cute? Is that what you wanted all along? It was.
It's attention based. You can see yourself in the camera. If anyone else has any questions or anything else, by the way, please feel free to shoot them. I don't think I have any pre-prepared questions this time, but I will wrap things up maybe a little bit earlier. It's a bit quieter today.
And it's very hot with the windows
quite hot
shut
as well. 100%. That's exactly it, Miss Tina. That's why we always talk about the antecedent. You know, there's always going to be influences. There's always going to be things that are really important in the environment, and it's always important to be mindful of them. What I like about this framework of looking at it is it's very formal, and it's a great sort of like Millie chopsticks, by the way. Just buy normal wooden chopsticks. They're the best ones you can get, honestly. You can get these party sticks from Northern Parrots as well. They're very good.
They must be out of stock.
And they're nice colours as well, so your parrot may like them. But yeah, a chopstick or a party stick, basically. Just something bird safe. I keep getting interrupted. Well, I'm not interrupted. That was my fault. I started talking. So yeah, it's a very good framework for seeing it in a very formal way and understanding the concept in a very formal and logical way. You're such a good girl. You're stepping up.
We're also waiting for all of the resources to come through from the seminar, and then once we can kind of lead from those PowerPoints and all of the worksheets and stuff, we will create some content. Probably starting off Patreon only, and then maybe make some YouTube stuff at another point. But that's the benefit of Patreon. And why should people sign up to Patreon, David?
Why should people sign up to Patreon? Because we have no money. That's the first thing. More importantly, you get access to Discord, which is a private server we have. We moderate it nicely. It's a very friendly community there. We've had a few new members as well, which is lovely. We have exclusive videos, so you guys will always be the first people to hear. Channel members also get some of these perks as well, by the way. They get just not quite as many, exclusive videos, other perks, and discounts. We're thinking of like playing around with more discounts for our products for patrons and channel members, just to say thank you again. But there's lots of perks. You should check it out. I've got a link to hand, basically. I'm
going to give you a link in a moment. Once Scampy's off my hand, you can get 50% off all of our courses. We do discounts on our food occasionally for patrons only, but you get all those exclusive videos. And I think a big selling point is the Discord server, because there's some people from Discord now who are in the chat, and I think you guys probably agree that it's quite a nice space to make birdie friends.
Yeah, which a lot of people, we find that in our consults, actually. People say, I just want to talk to someone who likes birds. It's like, there's plenty of people out there. I think people just can't find a safe environment, because places like Facebook and Instagram can be quite antagonistic and judgmental, and people don't like that. We try to avoid that part of it. We'll always tell the truth. If we feel someone's doing something incorrectly, we just won't be horrible about it, and we'll just say it's your choice, but this is what we recommend. The other thing I wanted to mention as well is so if you put links to the store as well, now that'd be really useful. We have restocked some, but some products flew out. We're trying to restock again on our store. So if you are after food products, they will pop back up. Coming up, there will be some more exciting announcements regarding that as well, including some other non-foodie bits as well. Thank you very much, Klaus. It's much appreciated. I hope that wasn't because my begging for money. We have none. Just this stupid conference and washing machine. Thank you very much, Klaus. So we do have some exciting stuff, including some non-food products, but we're going to kind of have a very limited range due to the amount of space we have, and we want to keep everything nice and safe. But food products restock's coming. We have restocked some things, so if you're after food, pick them up. If not, let us know if you're interested, and we'll see what we're going to have when. We can give you an idea if there's anything missing when you try and do your order.
But new stuff is coming, and of course, patrons will find out first. And
you will probably do with the new stuff. We'll probably give you patrons, channel members. Oh God, I'm so sorry. I just literally I have IBS basically. It's really upsetting me at the moment. Lovely. Basically, patrons and channel members will get first dibs. We'll kind of do a little pre-order period, so you guys can get anything you want before we give it to everyone else as well, just as usual. So because when we first test stuff, it's always limited number because again, we don't live in a warehouse, so we can't only stack stuff safely.
And we also ship to Europe, if you don't know that already.
You're such a good girl when you want to be. This is normal. This is the normal behaviour I get from her.
She's like, I'm bored of it.
Yeah, Scampy. Ella, my one bird is fixated on me, not its friend. Its friend isn't tame, so she's properly lonely. Probably lonely. Do you know what to do? What I suggest is work out how you can do some bonding work with the two. I do have a video on. People keep telling me I need to update it. I do need to update it. I've got videos on bonding two parrots. I'd recommend watching. And caging two parrots. They have some good tips on how to start bonding your two birds. Could you tell me what species they are, Ella, as well? I'm going to assume cockatiels. If it's cockatiels, it's a little bit easier. As a generality again, because every bird's an individual. With cockatiels, you can establish a flock dynamic, and most of it's going to be about teaching them that other bird is part of their flock. Because your first bird is basically used to the bird's flock. That's what she's used to. You're going to want to basically teach them that this other bird's a friend and show them that they want to interact together. It's worth interacting together. And you do that through bonding work. And it's stuff like communal foraging, we recommend, communal training, close observation. Everything's involved in close observation, I'm afraid. Using high-value reinforcement, which is very high-value treats, and getting them to share. Because we've had a similar situation, Ella, as well recently with Tootin. Tootin is one of our rescues, and Tootin was used to humans, didn't really care about other cockatiels, wasn't interested. Other cockatiels like, whatever, I want to be with a human. And he still likes to be with me an awful lot. But we did a lot of bonding work, a lot of work between them, and we did the stuff like communal training and communal foraging. So basically, me and Sophie would train birds next to each other. So they were always getting high-value treats next to each other. And they were like, wow, this is good. We're getting loads of great stuff. And then we did the communal foraging, where we would basically give them their own foraging trays at a comfortable distance, which is very important, and then gradually move them closer together. So they were both sharing these high-value foods and having lots of fun together. There's a bit more to it, which I'd highly recommend you watch the videos with, but that's the basic concept. Teaching them they're all part of one flock, and teaching them that they're all going to get loads of lovely treats when they're near each other, and it's just something they can share. Other than that, it's just observing and doing lots of other bits. Again, it's going to have a whole series on it in the future because there's a lot more that can be talked about, but that's kind of where I'll start with it. What a cheeky monster. Thank you very much, Less and More Voltron.
Very naughty.
Very naughty, but very much appreciated right now, to be perfectly honest.
I mean, I feel like you should be dabbing now. Like,
yeah, I didn't even set the... I don't even know how... I can't remember how to dab. It's like that.
In front of your face, it's like you're doing Thriller.
I mean, Thriller's kind of cool. I'm rubbish at these modern kids dances, you know. And it's not even modern. It's probably like ancient. You can have one more sip because you had like 4 earlier. For last bit of juice, little monsters. I'm going to drink the rest of this. It's going on the floor.
You're so naughty.
Fresh juice. People talk about, what do you reinforce your conures with? Fresh juice.
That's how you start your syringe training most of the time, isn't it?
You're absolutely all monsters, aren't you?
Pickles pee.
Right, does anyone else have any questions? I feel like wrapping this up in the next 5 minutes, basically. So if you have any more questions, feel free. Otherwise, we're going to play the birds. I'm just going to sit here and ramble maybe. If I think of something else to be interesting to talk about.
We can talk about the game that we're playing at the moment, which is 2 Point Museum. Is anybody playing 2 Point Museum? Because it's awesome.
Yeah, I've had quite a good run of games recently. We're playing 2 Point Museum, which we're really enjoying. I'm playing Expedition 33. That is worth the hype. If you haven't played that yet and you're into video games, it is very good. Expedition 33 is awesome. I finished Monster Hunter Wilds, which was very enjoyable as well. My first proper Monster Hunter game. I'm playing another one called First Berserker Karzan, which Sophie very kindly got for me a while back for my birthday. Really enjoying that. Playing lots of little things. I even playing one called Monster. Basically, I'm playing some of the games I've had in my stack for ages. Something called Monster Menu, where you go through a dungeon and you eat the monsters to stay alive. It's very interesting. I'm quite big into my gaming, as you can probably guess. I'm basically just a giant nerd who doesn't get to indulge his giant nerd hobbies enough. I basically just have to do as much as I can.
We have to be grown-ups.
It is, Klaus. It's very no, we don't have to be grown-ups. That's rubbish. It is very good, Klaus. We're enjoying it. It's my first 2 Point. Enjoy Pickles' show there. My first 2 Point game, but it's really, really fun. And I like the fact that you sort of do different things to museums. You can mix and match them and do different things in them. It's very good.
The only thing we don't like about it is the text size. I mean, every text size is bad for me, but even for David, it's like you need a pair of specs.
You know, I've got a very big television, which I've had for ages, and it's not a bad one, even though it's old. And after I play, I literally have eye strain. I'm like, oh my goodness. I think it's because it's designed for a PC game where someone sits like that rather than all the way back there. I just find myself
we're just really enjoying it. It's fun. The graphics are nice and friendly.
I'm glad you're enjoying the Pickles and Scampi show. And these guys are probably the most pleasurable for me to have out at the moment. They're the most fun. They kind of mind their own business sometimes as well, so I get on my own business. Obviously love the cockatiels as well, but the three of them are a bit full on, especially as they see it all seems to favour me most of the time. They all come over, they all start jumping on me, and one wants to be here, another wants to be there, another wants to be there, jumping forward. I'm like juggling cockatiels.
And then they start doing the do 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 do, and then the noises, singing time.
Oh, and Cole, we discovered that Cole absolutely has a fetish for cushions. Basically, cushions are his thing. If you have a cushion, you move it, it's instantly those cushions. I think we'll have to include that in the next Mr. Bird video somehow, to be perfectly honest. Just have that in there. Me and Sophie are thinking of even more Louis memes. I don't know why Louis become the meme queen of this house, but we constantly think of Louis memes, and it's an inside joke where the response to anything is just saying Louis' name. So if Sophie asked me the question, like, how are you doing today? I just say Louis. And we find it very amusing. I'll probably find everyone else
we
think it's a bit strange.
We want to pull everybody into the private joke. So if you're ever watching one of David's videos, just comment Louis.
And welcome to Shanna as well. Welcome.
The other thing, like, if you ever seen the Simpsons episode where Lisa's the tree hugger, and at the end of it, like, her face is on a log and it's like some log going through, we just imagine Louis' face on that, or on like the caterpillar cakes in the UK, but it's Louis' face. There's lots of good Louis.
I want you, Louis, to be in the universe as well. Like, you, Louis, is the centre of the universe.
She is the centre of the universe. So
Millie's asked a question: How much do you reckon it's good to get birds outside and sunlight on them? Well, realistically, you don't have to do it that much. If you can do it for 10 to 20 minutes a day, that would be ideal. That would give them a nice healthy dose of vitamin D3, and they can like lick it off their feathers. If they only get it once every few days, that's not bad. It's if they get none, or they get none in their diet where they can synthesize this vitamin, that's the problem. So if you can get them out loads, it's good for them. It's probably good for exposure and descents. There's no more treats. You've had way too many treats.
It's nearly your bedtime.
It is your bedtime. But yeah, basically, if you can do it 10 to 20 minutes per day is fine.
A couple of times a week.
Will be enough as a minimum, really. Supplement through dietary requirements if it's difficult, because obviously not everyone's able to do that immediately. Yeah, if you've got an outside aviary, you're laughing. You can just get them out in a travel carrier like we do. That also works very well as well. You are such a little terror. You're not getting any more treats. There's no point offering behaviours.
Do you want them to stay until the end of the live stream, or would you like me to set them home?
Why don't you pop them back, and I'll carry on for another couple of minutes, and then once they're...
She says no, thank you. I'd like to stay with Daddy.
Why don't you take some treats with her? She's guaranteed to come with you.
Yeah. Well,
take that.
So right now, David is the critical reinforcer.
Yeah, they do like spending time with me. They have lots of fun in this room with me, so they always like hang around with me now, which I don't mind too much. Anyway, sorry. Yeah, we would love to have something like that as well, Millie, but like it's such a nightmare living in like an apartment. I mean, we've got a lot of space, luckily. But yeah, we would love to have just an aviary outside for them. Some of you may have seen this on Patreon. The changes we've made for the cockatiels have made us feel even like more sad that we can't provide more space. And what we learned in this course as well recently, that we can't provide more space because, you know, this just distance and space can be so reinforcing and so useful when dealing with behavior problems. And I think that's why you see so many more in parrots in the home environment, because something called degrees of freedom is limited and the amount of space offered is a problem. And it's not always possible to change it. You know, you have to sort of give them what you can. And it's kind of yeah, exactly, Ella. That is the dream, really, to have that. So they're back in. So right. So yeah, as I said, I'm going to wrap it up in the next couple of minutes then. So any last second questions, should I say? I don't want to miss anyone out. There's people always asking. I love the way now that I'm finishing, there's like literally many more people joining. We're finishing in a couple of minutes, guys, but there were some interesting topics in here, I promise. Anyone with questions?
And do watch it back afterwards for anything you missed at the start.
I'll miss the teeny 100%, especially when you're dealing with into a few years CAC. Back. Okay. It's always interesting when you have space as a reinforcer or space as a factor when you're doing bonding work, because it's very useful and it kind of reinforces what a lot of people preach about in that regard. And that's why a lot of people struggle, because they make the mistake of thinking, oh yeah, if I put the birds close together, that's going to work. They're going to bond much quicker. And it's often the opposite. Sometimes it works. Most of the time, it actually makes it more difficult. And it's something we often have to sort of unpick when we're doing consultations with clients. We have to be like, right, you take this back a few steps and then work on it from distance, and then you'll have more success with it.
And even giving the boys their massive double flight cage.
You've revealed it to
the
non-patrons.
I've revealed it on Instagram, so you guys will know. But like the amount of space they've got in there, they're so happy because
I was just saying, we feel bad now because we see how much space they have. We want to give it to everyone, but if we did that, we'd literally just have cages and nothing else in this place. It is a massive upgrade, and considering the price of it as well, the cage itself, I've actually put it on my Amazon, so if you want to see what it looks like, there'll be a video on it as well, so you can watch that. But the actual cage itself for the money is not bad value, considering some of the other sort of CAC, as Mr. Teeny would put it out there, is for a similar price range, isn't very good. It's not bad. It's obviously got the same Chinese manufactured problems as many cages, but let's face it, 99% of cages are manufactured in China. It just depends if the person importing it has insisted upon certain quality standards or not.
Yeah, and we probably needed a third person to build that cage, didn't we?
I was pretty good, I thought. I mean, I'm not a cage guru these days at dealing with these darn things. Right, Renee, hello, welcome. Hello from the USA. My green sheep burrows into my shirt at 2 p.m. for nap time. Would this cause hormonal problems? The answer to that is yes and no. It's a big question to finish at the end. So basically, if you're noticing that after they burrow, they are exhibiting hormonal signs, for example, they're regurgitating in there, they're being more aggressive, more signs of aggression when they come out, if they're defensive of the area, if they're nesting, then maybe that's an issue. If they go down there and they have a nap, that's kind of what conures do, especially if your conure is a solo conure. They're cuddling you like they would someone else. What tends to be an issue is like if they were in there for absolute ages and they were doing naughty things in there, or if you were petting them while they were in there, or they were rubbing up against you constantly while they're in there. The briefest way to say it is we try to see hormones as a scale. So hormonal problems don't just come out of nowhere. You have lots of factors that feed into them. You have a time of year, you have the age of the bird, you have their diet, you have maybe lots of snuggling, excessive snuggling. Maybe you have inappropriate touching, not to say that you do these things, by the way, these are just examples. They have lack of sleep, etc. And then that causes the hormonal behavior you don't want to see, and it pushes them into hormonal behavior rather than just a little bit of regurgitation in the corner. So if you're noticing other stuff, then maybe you could phase that out, or maybe you scale it back. If they're just doing it and they're napping in there, there's not really an issue. I don't really see the harm in cuddling a conure. It's the repetitive motions and it's the excessiveness of that sort of thing that causes problems. If you want more elaboration on that, I've got an entire series on hormones I did a while back, which goes through the different factors, why it happens, the factors, how to help with hormones. So I'd highly recommend having a peek at that. So I'm going to finish at 55. So I've said this about 4 times now, but the last 2 minutes, just to make it easy, and almost swore there. I hope YouTube didn't pick that up on me. I was like, doing the Italian wave. So yeah, or if there's no other questions, so literally last chance questions, anyone who's just joined, and I'm just going to wrap it up because it is ticking over. So for anyone who's just joined, please do watch the live stream back. There's lots of lovely information on stuff me and Sophie learned at a conference, talking about bathing, talking a bit about our own birds and how their preferences, what they like, and just lots and lots of whinging from me as well about a broken washing machine. But yeah, I think I'll wrap it up now. Thank you very much, all of you who have joined. I'd like to see you in the future for lives because they're getting quieter. I don't know what's going on with YouTube recently. It's very, very quiet. It's sad panda for me and Sophie. If you do like our content, please do recommend us, subscribe, share it around. There's loads of free ways you can help us. It doesn't always have to revolve around giving us cash because we don't really demand it. It's not like other influencers. Thank you very much, Les and More Vulture, and you guys are the best as well. Me and Sophie will continue alternating lives because, again, we can't really justify doing doing one each every single month unless it's a special occasion. So Sophie's will be the next one, and I will try and promote it on my channel just in case you don't watch Sophie, so you can go over and head over on to her channel, because while one of us is doing a live, there's always another one of us in the background. So if you want to catch either one of us specifically, we're always there. But thank you very much, all of you, for joining, and I hope you all have a lovely rest of the evening. Take care. Bye-bye.